All right, fellas, let's babyface heel. Now, for those who may not know or unaware of what babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, babyface means good guy, heel means bad guy. Tweener is someone in between. So I came up with at least three athletes or celebrities, and we're going to decide whether they are a babyface, heel, or tweener. Try to keep it as quick as possible because again, we got a lot of subjects. But the first one, BRF, I will let you go first. Serena Williams.
I mean, babyface for me. Babyface for me. Um, what she's done for the sport of tennis. Um, like it just being like a revolutionary for the sport, bringing it out from like just not being really seen. You watch it. I mean, the men's for the most part has really kind of always had some sort of popularity watching the sport, but the women's weren't always like that. And they've had really, really good women's players. I mean, they've had Martina Navratilova, they've had Billie Jean King, they've had Chris Evert, they've had Monica Seles, they've had Jennifer Capriati, they've had really, really good. They've had good players, and she took them from an age. She took them from a darker age and really put them out there. And her and her sister really led the charge, and just everything up from that point, and just being like model citizen, being a model citizen, being kind of just standing up for everything that she's about. And I she for me she's a baby face. She just she commands respect. I mean, she doesn't. I feel like she never goes. You've never really seen her really go out her way too much to disrespect anyone. And I mean, what? I mean, okay, yeah, she had a little thing this year with the dancing at the Super Bowl. She used to date Drake. Just a little coincidental. She did the Sea Walk at the Super Bowl halftime show with Kendrick Lamar performing. Okay, it's very coincidental. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, who are we to diss or talk about Serena Williams in any way, shape, or form? So I definitely do think she's on the babyface side of things for me.
I agree. Champ.
Babyface. She's the greatest of all time. What has she done to make people hate her?
Jason
What?
Whitlock.
Beat their favorites. That's all
You
she's
know
done.
what? I almost said something very uncensored there about Jason Whitlock, but he can go jump in the lake. You know what I'm saying? He can go jump in the lake. Now he gonna make a tidal wave along with that, as I would too. But he can go jump in the lake. So, what has she done to make people hate her? She's been charitable. She's been a role model. She brought. Let's just keep it all the way 100. Where we come from, tennis is not prevalent,
Mm.
even in the schools that I went to. So tennis is not prevalent. She pretty much just go ahead and say it. She brought tennis from the suburbs to the hood.
Mm-hmm.
People might be scared to say that, but she brought tennis from the suburbs to the hood. Before Serena Williams, we was reading about a lot of other players, not necessarily relatable players, not necessarily players that we would see around our neighborhoods, not necessarily players that we would see at our school or in our neck of the woods. So she was essentially the Tiger Woods of tennis. Because look at how many young black women are now playing tennis.
Three of the best players in the world: Coco Gauff, Sloane Stephens, Naomi Osaka.
Exactly. They're not here without Serena Williams. They're not here without Serena Williams. So I ask again, outside of the that young man, Jason Whitlock, what has she done to make people hate her? What can you say? Now, if you want to nitpick about some crap, then be my guest. I know this is a day and time where we try to nitpick everything that women do. But the thing is, when you're playing a sport, you're passionate about what you do. Because guess what? My money's on the line. So you could talk about how she yelled at the guard, how she yelled at one of the judges or what have you, how she wanted them to apologize to her about getting the call wrong. Rightfully so. When I lose in tennis, you're messing up my money. You're messing up when you're messing up my money, you're messing up my endorsements. That's what happens when I lose. So guess what? There's not been a single thing that people can say that will make you hate Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the undisputed GOAT of her sport, depending on who you ask. A lot of people will still say Margaret Court because she still has the record. But the thing is, in modern day times, Serena Williams is the greatest of all time in her sport. She has never done anything to make people hate her and say, "Hey, we hate you." If you're trying to hate Serena, then you're just nitpicking at a certain point. And if you're trying to nitpick, then you don't need to be in sports because sports is a passionate business. Like I said, you're not only dealing with your sport, but you're dealing with this right here. And once you start dealing with this right here, the passion goes up times 5, especially when you're good.
Well said. Another reason why I say babyface for women, particularly for black women, Serena Williams obviously, gets criticism, body shame, and stuff like that. But she's kind of she's embraced it for the thick women, like the curves, the body type, all that. No, I'm being dead serious, champ.
Hey man, look, Serena, please wear that cat suit for Undisputed just one more time before you retire. Just one more time, and I love you forever. Just one more time, bring that cat suit out just one more time, because I swear she looked like a superhero with that outfit on. That was lovely. That was a sight to behold. They talk about one of the ninth wonders of the world. That was the 10th.
I love it. I love it in terms of the positivity, the role model she is for women, black women, how the fact that she embraces her body, the sexiness of Serena Williams, and the fact that she doesn't take shit from anybody. And the fact that she's strong, she's bold, she's determined. Has she really done anything legally? No. But you just want to hate on her because jealousy. Jason Whitlock, which is why you'll go on the air and say a bunch of dumb, incoherent shit. But that's a story for another day. But it's unanimous.
She's your favorite. She's your favorite tennis player. Just all it boils down to.
All right, let's move on to the next one. But obviously, unanimous. Serena, babyface. Next one for babyface heel or tweener. Zion.
I will have to say a tweener. He's a tweener.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna get a little personal. He reminds me a lot of myself. He reminds me a lot of myself. And I'm gonna just get into it. He reminds me a lot of myself. A lot of times, guess what? I can be great, but sometimes I'm like, the hell with this. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. And that's what he is. And it pisses people off when you do that. I never forget something my brother told me, God rest his soul. He used to always tell me, when you don't do your max, that's an insult to people who believe in you. And that's the reason why I always say Zion is a tweener, because he could be one of the greatest of all time, but it's just like sometimes it's like he doesn't want it. Sometimes he's just like, yeah, I'm good, but being good is enough. Now I do admire him. He was able to do a lot as far as his weight issues. I need to probably get with him on his personal trainer to see what he was doing, because I definitely need to hit that gym with him. But I'm glad that he was able to get that down and get that under control so he can be great. But the thing is, there's a lot of situations off the court that he was in the news about, and it was just like not nearly what I'm talking about. See your eyes, I see those eyes. So there was a lot of stories like in the news about him, about him being, with the chefs, and the chefs being his best friend down there in New Orleans and stuff of that nature. There was rumors about that going on, and like
And
I said,
one just them chefs, them women.
I
You
was
know
trying
what?
to I was trying to avoid that. Yeah,
Man,
I was
you
trying
know,
to.
I know you were, but I'm sorry that gives him that's tweener value. I mean, you can't avoid it.
I mean, but
It's
yeah,
inevitable, champ. It's inevitable.
it's inevitable. I was trying to avoid it, but yeah, I mean, he's a tweener because sometimes it's like you're just on the cusp of greatness. And if you apply yourself a little bit more, like I said, that's like he reminds me a lot of myself when I was in high school. It's like, yeah, I could have been valedictorian, but the hell with it, I graduated with a 3.6. What I need to be valedictorian for? I'm pretty sure it pissed a lot of people off, but who cares? But the thing is, he's great and he can be great. And because he don't strive to be great, that's the reason why it pisses a lot of people off, because it do you want to be great, or do you want to be one of these run-of-the-mill guys? Do you want to be as great as a Sean Kemp was, or Charles Barkley, or even the Draymond Green is? Or do you want to be the next Oliver Miller or Kevin Duckworth, God rest his soul? Guys who could have been great, but they didn't quite reach their potential because they let all these distractions, especially with their conditioning, get in the way. Not to mention, all the other stuff. Stay out of West Coast Productions, Zion. If you know, like I know, bro, don't do that no more. Don't do that no more, please. But I say he's a tweener. He doesn't do enough. He's not out there doing. He's not out there doing the most as far as committing crime and stuff like that. He's not out there doing that. But the thing is, it's just like you have a gift and you're not using it correctly. And that's what ticks people off with him. It doesn't tick them off. It doesn't tick people off enough to make them hate him, but it also doesn't gain you popularity and the things that you need to be doing. Everybody knew that his conditioning was a question even coming out of Duke. Can he stay healthy? Because now you're not under the watchful eye all the time of a Coach K. So the thing is, it's just like, it seems like sometimes he wants it. You see these real big flashes of him being great, and it seems like sometimes it's just like you just going through the motion. He's essentially, you remember how Riddick Bowe was back during his boxing days? He wowed you with how he could beat Holyfield, one of the greatest of all time. He wowed you in that fashion. He wowed you with how he could beat other great fighters. But when it came down, he would just like, this is not the Riddick Bowe we saw beat Evander Holyfield twice. This is not the great fighter that he was. It just seems like he could be great at times, and at times he just say, I don't want to be great. I'm good where I'm at. And it just ticks people off to the point where you could say, like, bro, you could do way better than this, but you're choosing not to. That's why I call Zion a tweener, because he could be great, but it seems like he doesn't want it at times, and that's why it ticks people off. But at the same time, you really can't say that he's hated, because, you'd have to really do some digging or pull some out of your buttocks in order to make you hate him. But it seems like he squanders his greatness at times. That's the reason why I call him a tweener.
Apparently, you've been taking some speech vocabulary classes from Mama PSP.
Yeah, and thanks to UPSP, I give you a lot of credit for that, because yeah, I said I want to learn some new words, and you sent me right on the money, and I learned them. So I appreciate that, man. That's how I got. Hey, man, that's why you gotta be around guys who are smarter than you are. If you're the smartest man in the room, it's a problem. So get with guys who smarter than you. These two men, like I said at the beginning, I might have 4 degrees, but them book smarts don't help when you on podcast. These two men right here are smarter than I am. So they help me out a lot with these podcasts. So I'm just being real. They help me to say the words that I need to say and do what I need to do as far as being great. So that's why you work with people who are smarter than you are. Degrees don't mean anything as far as common sense.
Shout out to Mama PSP. Champ, you said it best, man. Zion is a tweener because of all the things. I think from a basketball standpoint, he's a tweener because coming out of college, what were the expectations of Zion Williamson. There were a lot of comparisons between he and LeBron James. He is a tweener because, again, it didn't seem like he wanted to be in New Orleans. Seems like he wanted to be in a big time market. But New Orleans, I've been there. I'm quite sure y'all have been there. It's a beautiful city, great place to visit, good food, great party atmosphere, things like that. The reason why so many old school people, and Shannon Sharp has mentioned this numerous times, he should talk to Charles Barkley. That's the player Zion Williamson is at best compared to, because Chuck, coming out of college, he had weight issues, and rest his soul, Moses Malone, one of the greatest, told him you fat and lazy. And Chuck ultimately lost about 50 pounds and became the player that he needed to be. And when I look at Zion, even though Chuck was a hell of a basketball player, he has much more potential than Chuck. And when I look at Zion, I just don't see someone who's heavily invested in basketball or nutrition and fitness. So far, he's gotten that together. But what happens after the offseason, champ? After the offseason, is he going to continue his nutrition and fitness in the offseason? Because, hey, that's a lot of time. And we all know Zion, them gumbo, shrimps, crawfish, etouffees in New Orleans and stuff like that. And plus, we've talked about all the other issues with Zion Williamson, with the situation with Mariah Mills and all that other stuff. But he can't be a heel, because what has Zion Williamson done legally? Zion hasn't been in those types of situations or stuff like that. But at the same time, he hasn't maximized his potential, because nutrition, fitness, does he really care? Does he really love the sport of basketball? Those are the things. That's why Shannon Sharp, Charles Barkley, a lot of them constantly criticize him, because they know how talented, they know how much potential he has, and he's not capitalizing it. So I say a tweener as well. BRF?
I definitely agree. Yeah, I agree with both of you gentlemen on pretty much the points you made. He's definitely a tweener. Just, I mean, the kid, the guy has like top 5 to top 10 in the NBA potential. Like he has, I mean, he has that type of ability. I mean, obviously, when he's healthy, he's easily one of the best rebounders in the game, particularly on the offensive glass. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. The athleticism is like, it's self-explanatory. You don't need to talk about his athleticism. I mean, and like he's like a demon when it comes to playing in the transition game. I mean, he's got top 5 to top 10 potential, and yeah, like you said, it's mainly just the fitness and the nutrition. I mean, I think he's at like 264 now, which is easily the lowest he's been in a long time. Definitely in his NBA career so far. So I mean, shout out to him for trying to put some focus on that and really and want to make himself better in that. But yeah, because that's probably like one of the biggest things that we say to him is like, you could be one of the best ever if you really just put yourself first and focus on yourself and get yourself in the right mindset, right mindset and the right, like physically and mentally, get yourself in the right status, and you could be one of the greatest ever. I mean, just work on your fitness, work on your nutrition, stop pulling on wisdom teeth. You'll be okay. You, you'll
Only
be.
us from down south. Only us from down south know what that means. Good
I mean,
God.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's then PSP. You. I wasn't expecting a name drop, but you name dropped her to the fellas out there. Her in prime, amazing. Now she looked like a wisdom tooth. Zion, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Don't mess with them. No, don't do it. Focus on your game. That's one of the biggest reasons why he's a tweener. But if he puts everything in the right place, I'm telling you, he's got top 5, top 10 upside. But leave them wisdom teeth alone, bro. Leave them alone.
All right. And one last one. Jerry Jones.
Heel. Dang, I mean, this is like the easiest one you've asked. He's a heel. He's a heel. There's nothing tweener. For me, there's nothing babyface or nothing tweener about him. Like you want to like him, but you just can't. He's a heel, and a lot of it comes from the standpoint of just he don't know when to back off and be like, you know what, Steven, I'm gonna let you handle this. I'm gonna stay out of the limelight. It's like he's only there to sell the tickets. It's like he don't care about helping the team win. And it's just like that. It's like he's okay with mediocrity. And I'm sorry, I don't need my owners to be okay with mediocrity, because that type of mindset is going to trickle down. And even when you have some people with the right mindset of wanting to win, ultimately that mediocrity is going to take over, because you have more people in that Jerry Jones mindset that are really going to take over for the most part. So he is definitely a heel from the standpoint that he's just, if there's anybody that needs to get with the times, is him. But it's just like he doesn't show enough to really say, you know what, I want this team to truly get back to the promised land. He just hasn't done enough. I mean, it should be at a point where we're not looking at Jerry Jones, we're not looking at the Dallas Cowboys and saying 1996. If you know, you know. We shouldn't be talking about them as 1996. 1996 is the last time they've been to the NFC Championship game. They are the last NFC team since 1996 that hasn't made an NFC Championship game. That is crazy to think about. That every other team in the NFC, with the Commanders going this past year, every team in the NFC since '96 has been to an NFC title game at least once, except the Dallas Cowboys. And it starts at the top. And it's Jerry Jones. He's definitely a heel. And it's strictly from the standpoint of he's not truly doing anything to want to make his franchise great. And it's a shame, because we should think about the Dallas Cowboys in a higher light than that. But unfortunately, because of him and his kind of antiquated mindsets about things, I mean, what are you going to do? He can't get out of his own way.
Champ?
I have to say tweener. And here's why. It depends on if Dallas is winning or not. When he's winning, it's easy to like him. When they're losing, it's easy to hate him. And it's pretty much depending on who you ask in conventional wisdom. If you ask a hardcore fan, that's a non-Dallas Cowboy fan, of course they're going to say, we cannot stand Jerry Jones. We hate the ground he walks on. If you ask the Cowboys fans, depending on if they're winning or losing, it's just like, hey, Jerry is a good owner. There's a lot of things that he could do better. But, it just depends on it. It's kind of like it's kind of like living in a certain part of the country. It just depends on the part of the year that it is. If it's the summertime, yeah, we love it. When it goes to the wintertime, like, damn. It's kind of like living in Georgia. In March, it's kind of like, March and April, it's kind of hard to be in Georgia. Because number one, it don't know whether it want to be hot or cold. You got pollen down here and all types of things going on. So between March and April, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to live in Georgia. That's how it is with Jerry. When they're winning, it's easy to like Jerry. When they're losing, it's easy to hate him. And like I said, it's unfortunate that they're part of America's team and they're going to get a lot of attention, much like the New York Knicks did. Although they were losing for so many years, but yet they was grabbing headlines because how bad James Dolan was as an owner.
Oh, Dolan's more of a heel than Jerry.
Yeah, so it's just like, and people have always hated Dallas. People have always hated Dallas. Hell, I hate Dallas. I never say that around my mama, but I hate Dallas. So the thing is,
you better hope your mama not watching the show.
My mom knows I'm not a fan of Dallas, but I never say that around her. Around her, around her, me and her watch the game, when she's able to. But
I was gonna say something, but I ain't gonna get you in trouble, champ. Respect, Mama Champ. I ain't gonna say nothing. I want to, but I ain't gonna do it.
my mama, hey, Dallas can do no wrong. When I get away from Mama, Dallas, I just want to you know what I'm saying? So, but hey, it depends on who you are and how he's being addressed. When you talk, if you would have been talking about Jerry Jones in the early '90s and even in the mid '90s, everybody will say, "Yay, Jerry Jones!" But it's been years since they've been able to recapture that glory. So now you're being strongly criticized. Are you losing touch? Have you lost touch? Like I said, it's kind of like when it's kind of like the same thing that Al Davis went through before he passed away. People were saying that he had lost touch with reality and how he lost touch with the modern day ball play. So it really depends because, like I said, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, depending on if the Dallas Cowboys are winning and losing, you love Jerry. Depending on if they're winning, you love him. But if you are a non-Dallas Cowboy fan and they're losing and he's always in the headlines over there talking about himself rather than keeping the attention on the team, then you hate it. Like
That's therapy session for Jerry.
Yeah, he's kind of like George Steinbrenner was, God rest his soul. When the Yankees was winning, everybody loved George Steinbrenner. When the Yankees was losing, he was a son of a gun to deal with.
Ooh, man,
he was a son of a gun to deal with. And I mean, at one point George got banned from the league. So yeah, it's the George Steinbrenner and Al Davis effect with Jerry Jones. When the Yankees of football, that being the Dallas Cowboys, are winning, everybody loves him. He's gonna give you a great story. He's gonna give you some clips. He's gonna give you something to talk about. But when they losing and it doesn't seem like everything is going their way, it's like I told you about that damn Jerry. So it depends on which day you catch somebody. It depends on which day you catch.
In the words of Bubba Dub, trash.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry's a tweener because people like Jerry because he's outspoken. Look, how did Mike McCarthy get the head coaching job? Beer and nachos. Spent the night at Jerry's crib. All of us would love to have ourselves some beer and nachos. Anyone who says otherwise, they lying. Who wouldn't want beer and nachos and get a head coaching job for the Dallas Cowboys? Jerry wants to be liked. Jerry loves attention. Jerry loves talking. Jerry does his part as far as making the Dallas Cowboys relevant. By the ratings, the revenue, they're worth $6, $8, $9 billion, whatever they're worth. They're still the most glamorous team, not only in football, but in sports. You still gonna talk about the Dallas Cowboys, whether they win or lose games. So he is liked. He is, however, a heel because, again, Jerry's still stubborn. Jerry wants to do things his way. Remember, Jerry, I'm sorry if I have to go political or social. Remember, Jerry with the flag, the national anthem. You will stand hand over your heart, toes on the line. Otherwise, you will not suit up and play for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is also a heel because he criticized he talked about Kareem Hunt a couple of years ago with domestic violence and stuff like that. But Jerry, you brought in Greg Hardy. Jerry Jones, look, Jerry Jones, players can say a lot of things about Jerry Jones. He's known for taking players with high risk, but at the same time, Jerry, you benefit from that because those football players help you win football games, not to mention make you more money than you could ever imagine. And let's not forget the controversial photo. Remember when Jerry Jones, when he was a kid? Remember that photo that I'm referring to, guys?
Yes, I do.
So he kind of a baby face and a heel. So at best for me, he's a tweener. I can understand you saying heel, BRF, but there's gonna be people that do like Jerry Jones. as crazy as he is, as far as with some of the cuckoo things he says in press conferences, hey, he knows how to make his money, but at the same time, Jerry's still stubborn. I got my good friends, Makai, great dude. I feel like for him, I accuse him all the time of being Jerry Jones' publicist, PR, security, because anytime when I keep mentioning all the things with the Dallas Cowboys, he doesn't blame Jerry. I guarantee you right now, if he actually saw Jerry Jones, he would give Jerry Jones a big hug and hang out with him with a nice beer and drinks, beer and nachos. Because Dallas Cowboy fans, in their eyes, they can still do no wrong. I mean, Jerry could do no wrong in their eyes. I meant to say, because even though it's been 30 years since they haven't won a championship, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. We're gonna win the Super Bowl. We're gonna compete next year. All the expectations of the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry buys into that. So he's a tweener at best.